for fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins, make sure you guys go check out my sponsor U4GM Coins. Use code VENM at checkout for 5% off your order. Yo, what's good guys, Venom Fire here, back with another video, and today me bringing back a video I did earlier in the year. It's going to be my free Gun Trips tight end offensive guide. Now, the video I put up earlier in the year has some decent setups, but I have updated a lot of stuff. I've been running this scheme pretty much strictly over the course of the last month, and I found a ton of good setups. You notice that I'm in a different playbook than I was in that first video, and that's because I'm now in the Los Angeles Chargers offensive playbook. The simple reason for that is because it has read option. That's really the only play that sets the Chargers and the Raiders apart. But yeah, I'm going to be going over all of my updated setups. Got a lot of new and better stuff for you guys. So with that being said, I'll hop into my audibles. What I got is X spot at X. I got read option, verticals, and PA counter go. Now I'm going to be going over a lot of other plays, including double in sail, PA slot corner, as well as this PA shot post. And then I got curl flat, inside cross. And yeah, I think that's it. Maybe a couple of other plays like the slip screen later if we have time. But yeah, with that being said, I'll just start out in the read option because, again, it is the key play that sort of sets them apart. Now, in all of these setups, I'm going to be focused on man coverage because that's by far the meta. Earlier in that video, I'm not even sure if I was in man or against man or zone, but I was probably thinking that the man coverage meta would not last as long. And yet, here we are today, and people are still running man coverage. So, we're going to be going in strictly man coverage. Now, one thing about this offensive formation is that you need the tight end apprentice ability. So you notice I have George Kittle. I just traded him over just because I wanted an escape artist. The teams in regs that actually get tight end apprentice are Philadelphia, Kansas City, San Francisco, and Tampa Bay. I know I could have used the Chiefs, but everybody likes to complain when I use the Chiefs just because of how good they are. So I decided to just trade them over to the Texans. And yeah, so make sure you get that tight end apprentice ability. What that does, it gives you those extra hot routes. It can also have route apprentice. Again, it does not make a difference at the tight end spot. So starting out with read option. Now, read option is a very good run. It's a really good run out of bunch this year specifically, but it's also good in trips as well. So simple read option. Again, you're going to be reading certain different players depending on the formation, but you see actually against this dollar formation, the player we are reading is going to be that wide side cornerback. So that corner on the wide side, we will see if he plays it or not. Now, most times I've noticed that they will not follow the quarterback, and that's if you have a scrambling QB. If you have someone sort of like a Jimmy Garoppolo where he's sort of sneakily scrambling QB, has some decent speed, like a Dak, he doesn't have escape artist, but he still has pretty good speed, then maybe you can go ahead and keep it a lot more times. But as far as Watson goes, there you go. You see we're able to get it. And we just have a lot of space. This is a very good way to pick up yardage. And the good thing I like the read option over the inside zone is because the ability to motion. So a lot of times when you're running inside zone, you won't motion anybody over. But with the read option, what I like to do is motion somebody over. Not only will that actually help with the blocking on the right-hand side, but that will also help on the inside zone to this left-hand side. See, there's one last defender, and it just seems like the gap is a little bit bigger to run through. So again, you could really motion any of these guys. I could also motion Brandon Cooks over, get that player out of the way, and then I can give the ball up, and you see we have a lot more space to the outside right there. Again, this year, I think the best way to play offense is to be balanced. So really, you want to mix in the run a lot, even out of these pass-heavy sets like bunch, like a trips tight end. I think it's very important to run the ball a lot. You can always audible down to certain formations. And one thing you can do out of the Chargers playbook is you can actually sub in a running back at receiver if you wanted to, and you can audible to some really good I-form formations like the I-form slot close. That's one of my favorites. But again, read option, you see, look at all the space we have out there. We can sort of stop and go, do whatever you want, and especially if you have a Vic or a Lamar, you're going to be picking up big chunk plays when you are able to go ahead and keep it. Again, even if they do follow, you can always hand it off, and you see against those dollar or 3-3-5 sets that are pretty bad against the run, usually you'll be able to pick up at least 5 with the halfback. But again, that's the read option. Don't be afraid to mix in the motion when you're running the read option. But yeah, I'm trying to move on to these pass plays. We do have a lot to talk about. So just starting out, I'm going to come out in the X spot, which is actually one of my favorites, if not my favorite pass play this year. And really out of the X spot, I only actually have one setup that I really go to. Again, you could obviously mix in certain things, But for the setup, what you want to do is put your tight end on a cross. That's going to be the D-pad up. You're going to put him on a cross, and then what you're going to do is put B on a little zig, put X on a streak, and put RB on an option. Now, all of these are man-beating routes, so the streak will beat man if he's pressed and not shaded over the top. In this case, he won't because he has 96 speed Dante Jackson on him or whatever. But also, this tight end cross is very solid against man coverage, really good, really consistently beats it. And then we also have the zig. Zig will beat man coverage sometimes. Again, it really does depend. Usually if they are shaded over the top, it'll beat the man coverage. If they actually shade down, then it's a lot better against zig routes. So in this case, it probably won't get as much separation as it would usually online. And then the last thing we're going to do is motion Will Fuller over. We're going to turn his corner route into a post route by motioning him over, and then we're going to motion snap him. So usually your first read is going to be the tight end. You see, look at the separation we got. That's a faster cornerback on a slower tight end. Guys like Jermichael Finley and Mutt get really good separation against man coverage. So speed really isn't too much of a factor at the tight end position. But again, it's really just good high-low reads. He's going to have to pick which one he's going to use. And really, it comes down to if he's going to use her A or Y. They're both going to be wide open against man coverage. And you see, even with the cover one, there's a 3-receiver hook in the middle of the field, the yellow zone. It still does get open against that. Not only is this play really good against man, it's really good against zone. Obviously, I'm not going to audible 20 times. This video would be an hour long. But just know that it is very good against that zone coverage. And you see, obviously, if your tight end is a little bit faster, will help. And really, with that crosser, you want to throw it a little bit earlier. Or if they have a faster corner, then maybe they can catch up on you. But again, it is more of a simple read. You want to see if he's following the inside or the outside. You can make that read accordingly. As I have to put my tight end across, but you see, even with that happening, the zig route does get open, even with them not shaded over the top. And we'll talk about the zig routes a lot with some other setups I like to run. But again, it is a very quick setup, or very quick play to set up. A lot of quick reads, a lot of hot reads out of the backfield. You got that running back. But again, you're really deciding between that post route in the corner and the crosser. More times than not, there will not be a yellow zone in the middle of the field. Usually they will actually put him on the sidelines, which is why this route is a lot more covered than it usually would be online. But yeah, that's pretty much it for X Spot. It's one of the only plays where I actually only have one setup, along with PA shot posts as well as curl flats, things like that. But for some of the better plays like these plays, I got a couple more setups, and we'll go straight into verticals from here. Now, verticals in the past has been a lot better against zone, and it is still better against zone coverage, specifically cover 3 and cover 2. The ability that one of these players will always be open against those coverages is nice to know. Against man coverage, though, obviously, you will know if your opponent's running man coverage in this play. It's definitely not as good against man coverage. This is more of a zone beater, so if you're playing someone running a lot of zone coverage, then this is a play you want to run a lot. But against man coverage, it's really not that good, I will say. We still do got some routes that can beat man coverage, so obviously just running it stock, we got a zig, we got a corner. This corner route is going to beat man coverage very effectively, but I actually got a couple of things that I like to do to mix it up. So what I like to do out of verticals, if I know he's running man coverage, is I like to, again, keep the same concept. I like to keep the running back on a wheel, but what I will usually do is maybe I will throw Y on a zig and B on a slant, or what I will do is I will throw B on a zig and X on the slant. So it'll look like this. Obviously, what you want to do in that case is motion Kenny Stills over, because then you got the corner out, you got the slant, you got the zig, and the zig can be open. You also got the route over the middle of the field with a fast receiver. It can be open. You see the slant, the backside motioned over slant does really well against a number of coverages, specifically man coverage, though, with that player going behind him. And again, just mixing certain things like that. Again, zone, this is really my go-to setup. It's going to be on a zig, and then against zone, what I would do is I would motion Fuller in and actually snap him. Before he gets to the right side against man coverage, you obviously can't motion snap anymore with them crossing the other side of the formation. So that's something that is a little bit unfortunate, but you can still make shift with things like that. And again, there are a lot of other things you could do out of the play against zone coverage. But you see, even if there wasn't a deep zone over the top, Will Fuller did have a step on a very fast corner right there. So this seam route is definitely good against cover 2, as well as cover 2 man. Again, we're going against cover 1 right here, so certain things like that will not be open with the safety help over the top. But again, you see how it would beat man coverage in some instances. Also, X right there, you see he has a step on him. And if Dante Jackson wasn't so much faster than Stills, we would be able to complete that. So again, verticals, not my favorite play, but it is usable. Let's move on to the next play, PA counter go. Now with this play, again, this is more of a one setup type of a play, as a lot of these are against man coverage. Against zone, you can get pretty creative. But I really only have 2 go-tos out of this. My first go-to setup is going to be block your running back, put A on a post route, throw Y on a drag, and put X on a streak. You're going to motion X over. You got yourself a drag, crosser, and a post. All of those routes are very successful against man coverage. The streak is really just acting as a clear out here. First route that's going to cook man every time with any player out of any formation, any defense. It's going to be this post route with Kittle. Very successful, very dominant. And even with a slow player, it gets separation. I use the Eagles a lot in regs when I play. And even Zach Ertz, he's, I think, 78 speed or whatever. He's very good just against any man coverage, any corner. But again, you see the setup. Not only is that tight end going to be open, but this little crosser as we got hit as we threw. Now, obviously, pretend that they're shading over the top, which they usually will be. Again, this is a cover 1 press, so Cooks is going to get pressed for a little. He has pretty terrible beat press stats. But again, he will get separation usually eventually, so we'll go ahead, motion him over, snap the ball again, and there you see that quick separation animation. Look at how much we got on the crosser, and again, that is a very fast corner right there. So he's able to sort of stick stride for stride even though he is behind. But again, the crosser is very good against man coverage. Cooks, again, he doesn't have all the route running stats, all those types of things. So in Ultimate Team, when you have better players, again, certain things will be better than they look in practice mode. Again, also the drag. You see the drags getting very good separation against a 95 speed cornerback. You see the drags, very underrated routes against man coverage, and you're forcing someone to double flat with the man coverage base, so you're forcing him to pretty much rush a max of 3 people, maybe even 2. Something else you can do out of this play is you can honestly just go with the double drag concept. So I could throw X on a drag as well as Y. I have my post, I have my crosser. Now, I don't usually like this concept just because, you got too many routes over the middle of the field. You kind of have to wait to throw the ball. And then sometimes when that happens, you get shedded or whatever. But usually you'll get a better catch animation than that, and you can cut it upfield for at least 10. With that being said, the other real route combo that I like is just going to be Y on a little backside out or zig or even a flat route. Obviously, you got to put him on the flat beforehand, but something like this, you got a little slant to crosser combo instead of the post, and this time you have A on the little clear out. Again, just mixing in certain differences with the play. You see Cooks, again, gets open on that crosser. Mix in certain things, and again, you can still have some fun with the formation. You don't have to go with the same base setups. But again, the other way that I would potentially run the play is maybe with Y on a little zig, X on a streak, and then I would throw RB on the option, another route that's pretty good against man with the backfield master ability. David Johnson himself won't really get too good of separation with this. But again, it's just another route that you can throw in another setup for you guys against man. And again, all of those setups do also work against zone. The same base setup that looks like this with X motioned over is very good against zone as well. And that's the beauty of this formation. A lot of these setups I'm talking about, they're very good against man, but also if he catches you off guard, maybe he runs zone, they still do work and they still are successful. So with that being said, we will hop into our second set of plays. And yeah, let's just go get into them. Alright guys, coming back out on the field, you see we are going to start out in this PA shot post. I also do got double and sail, inside cross, and curl flat in my audibles. So we're going to talk about those plays in addition to the PA slot corner a little bit later. I do apologize for this video being a little bit longer, but I think I have like 8 passing plays, so I got a lot of setups in addition to that run play. We'll start out with the PA shot post though. This is definitely one of my favorite plays this year that really wasn't used at all last year out of trips. My go-to setup with this play is going to be B on a zig, X on a little smart routed S post, and then just A on a streak, RB on an option. So it's going to look like this. Again, zone coverage, one thing you can do is you can motion snap this player in, just motion him in a step and snap the ball. Against man coverage, you can't do that, obviously. And one thing I did is I just switched to a cover 2 man instead of a cover 1. So we'll be able to throw some of the post beaters a little bit later. But you see, the crosser is going to be very good against man coverage. Pretty much any crossers you see without motion from the slot or from that closest receiver, they're all very good. And again, you see we really don't have any routes on that right side, which is something I'll address a little bit later. But look at the post route, really cooks. You see Kenny Stills, even with the speed difference in Dante Jackson to Stills, we were able to get very good separation just from that little cut he makes. And again, beyond a zig is very open. I'm not even sure if he has been open. But I'm assuming you see there we go. Got the really good separation from the zig that will usually happen when players are shaded over the top. Again, if they are shaded underneath, whether they're using bench press or whatever, the zigs really aren't a good concept to use. But again, we got the crosser, we got the S-post, and the S-post just got absolutely dominated. But you see, even if he's getting pressed to death, we still do get separation late in the play. We did get shedded. Now, the other play I like, or the other setup I like to go to, and this is one, if you want to block your running back, then you can. Pretty much what you'll do is you'll streak A, smart out X, and then what I like to do is just throw B on a backside slant. So you got a post, crosser, slant, and then you do have your running back for better protection. So you see the Texans O-line is pretty awful, so I'm getting consistently shedded. Right there, we get the post open, and again, Dante Jackson's speed is sort of killing these setups. But again, usually corner will not have that big of a difference in Ultimate Team, or unless you're going against like the Panthers. He's the fastest corner in the game, I believe. But again, you see the backside slant. Again, if you prefer that slant over the zig, you see the separations there. We got the crosser and the slant wide open. Really, you're forcing his user to defend one of them. Usually, he will defend the crosser if he's smart, take the shorter play, and take Cooks, which you still can pick up a lot of yards in. So again, those are really my only setups with the PA shot post. They are very successful, and you definitely want to run this play a lot during the game. And don't underestimate it against man or against zone coverage as well. Although it cooks man very well, zone coverage might even be better. There's a lot of things you could do with the play. With that being said, we'll hop into the double in sail, another one of my very underrated plays that really doesn't get enough love. Now, one thing is that this play will not be as good per se against man coverage as it will be zone. And the reason for that is this table route is very good against zone coverage. Against man, it's a lot worse. Here will be my go-to setup. Now, I usually will do something else. If it's zone, I can't show that. But again, we got RB on the table, we got B on the slant, we got A on the post, and we got Y on the zig with X on just a basic streak. Taking a look at it, we got A, we got B wide open, and more times than not, that zig will also be able to beat the man coverage non-pressed. Again, against zone, you got this table route that's very successful unless people are playing double flats, which usually, one thing about trips is they will not. I tend to see people not double flatting this side a lot, which is something that you can definitely take advantage. And for example, out of this play specifically, really I've had that table route absolutely kill people, make them double flat on the right, and then you can attack to the left. But again, here's just the base setup against man: Y on a zig, B on a slant, X on a streak, A on a post. And although these do seem like a lot of hot routes, they are. But it's something you got to do. You got to make a lot of hot routes against man coverage. You got to turn in a lot of these useless routes into productive routes, like two dig routes going to the same spot. Absolutely useless. And really what you're doing out of this play is you're calling double and sail for one route, and that's just the table route. If you have backfield master, you could obviously create this concept out of any play. But again, something else you can do is give it a little X spot type of a flavor. With X on a streak, Y on a zig, A on a crosser, and B on a little backside post. I would smart out B so he's a little bit shorter. Again, if that's too short for you, then you can leave him as how deep he is, but that is pretty deep. It depends on preference, but you see, look at the post route, cook, man coverage, and again, that's just a little extra route or concept I like to go to. I usually only run that setup maybe one time a game, but again, something nice to have in your arsenal. Moving on, we got the curl flat. Now, curl flat, very interesting play. It's one play that trips players really never call, but my favorite go-to setup with it is either to smart out B, which you could do, or just leave them the same, put A on like an out route. And yeah, it's pretty much my go-to setup. Just very quick snap type of a play. You got, and again, I will say this is a lot better against zone than man coverage. This is really just a zone setup, but again, if they catch you in man, you got a couple of routes that will beat man coverage, including your route with Cooks, which again, smart out if you want. I like to smart out it. If you don't have to. But you got Cooks, and you also got David Johnson with backfield mastery. He's going to be a lot better. Without backfield mastery, he still will beat man coverage. On the left side, which really is a zone killer, you got these two plays. We got the curl flat zone. But again, David Johnson, that Texas route, very, very nice. You're forcing your opponent to use him pretty much because no man coverage will actually be able to defend that, no matter if they have an ability or whatever. That play still gets open. Again, you'll put B on a smart route, A on an out route, and you can really just quick snap the ball. You see Brandon Cook's able to cook Eli Apple there on that little post route. That's another hot read. And pretty much he will usually end up using him across the field. And pretty much these routes will always be open 100%. So if it's cover 2 or cover 3, one of these players will 100% be open regardless of what the coverage is. But again, table route or this Texas route, if you don't have the AP to put an ability on him or you're playing regs, that's something I like a lot, just the built-in angle route from the running back. Yeah, with that being said, we'll hop into the inside cross. And again, that's really the only setup I run, so I don't got anything else for that curl flat play. Out of inside cross, this is going to be a very deep shot type of a play. What I like to go to is A on a little post route, and then I go with Y on a slant. It's going to look like this. You got a drag, slant, post, and deep post. With this deep post, you probably won't get as much separation, but against cover 2 man, you see how you would be able to attack deep up the field. And again, you obviously want the speed difference. You want to attack the player with the speed difference. I'm not sure if I flip the play. Maybe he won't be. So he's actually not there. We'll see if we can actually get it open. Now, usually you want a fast player out there for the play. And primarily for this formation, I would put my worst receiver deep or on this outside. But again, we will just run the setup. And again, usually you will want to run this on the wide side. Always run your trips on the wide side. That's not something I said, but it's kind of implied. And again, you see the deep post. It does get separation. We just got hit when we threw. But again, that's a route that's really good against cover 2. Usually against cover 2 man, but when people are running man coverage, again, they're putting those safeties in flat zones, not really keeping them deep. The other thing you can do is sort of turn this into a corner route, actually, which is definitely an interesting concept. Obviously, if you got the corner out, you want to snap him as soon as you can, so I kind of messed that up. And obviously, if I'm going to have to motion him over there, but with the corner out over there, you don't really want to slant a corner out going to the same side. So what I would do is maybe throw B on a little streak or Y on a streak, B on a zig, something like this, or B on a little option or wheel. Mix in concepts like this, and then I would snap him right there. And right there, you see you can get a little separation on the corner out. Not the fastest breaking route, but it still does do well. So that's just another way to run it. With that being said, we'll hop into our last 2 plays. Now again, there's a couple of plays I'm not going to talk about. One of those being the RPO bubble. There's an RPO bubble out of this, so you would come out in it. Obviously, when you audible between them, the players will readjust, so be careful about that. But we'll just hop into our last couple of plays. It starts out with a PA slot corner. Now, usually, what I like to go with this setup is going to be B on a zig, A on a crosser, and X on a streak. And I would usually just go ahead and snap the ball. Maybe I throw RB on an option. Make sure you smart out Y. You want the post as deep as it can be. But yeah, this would be my base setup. You got 2 man beating routes in the crosser and the post. And it's very difficult to user. Usually they will follow that little crossing route all the way to the sidelines because that's a really difficult route to defend with zones and man. But again, you're just using this little man beating route. And again, I know Fuller got pressed to death right there, but he was still able to get separation late in the play. Again, I'm throwing B on a zig. B, he's getting separation right there with a terrible throw. In addition, we just got X as a little clear out there. And then we got RB on a base option. Again, maybe I want to go with double post. That's something you could do. And maybe if I want B sort of out of the play, I could throw him on a flat. But again, the best concept in my opinion is going to be this. Really is successful. And again, you don't have to smart out Y if you want. You see we got a lot more separation when we didn't smart out him. I'm not sure if that was the reason why, but that was the case in itself. But again, definitely a solid play. The other way you could do it is maybe you smart out B and you actually motion him across the formation. Again, this is another play that you could create an X spot type concept out of, where I would motion him over. Maybe I throw B or Y on a backside drag, something like this. Very solid concept, and obviously that little post route is not going to be as good as against man coverage as X spot, or if he would wear a corner route. This player in the slot, he is a lot faster breaking routes. This player Cooks, he is a slower breaking route, so when you turn it into a post, even against man, it can sometimes bag it. But again, the other play, or the setup I was talking about would be this: A on crosser, motion B over. You got the drag, you got the crosser, a couple of good man beating routes in there. And you see you can always throw that crosser against man coverage. So again, PA slot corner, I really never run this play, but I wanted to give you guys a couple of setups. I know some people are a fan of that play. Me, myself, I definitely don't run that play ever. But those are a couple of setups you can run against man. The last play is going to be the slip screen. I know I kind of sound like an idiot talking about the slip screen with all of these dominant setups, but trust me, the slip screen is very good. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I run this play a lot in the red zone. Out of trips, there's really not too many good red zone plays because you see a lot of these are deep developing routes. You got posts, you got crossers, you got a lot of deep plays. And that's where this little screen comes in. This is a go-to play of mine in the red zone. It is very solid. And although it might not work a lot or work very good against the CPU, this is really good against players online and online head-to-head. The slip screen in the red zone, people stack the box. A lot of times outside they can get open now. For whatever reason, the CPU is just the smartest and the best player ever, so they're going to defend it. But you can mix in a little motion if you want. Then you can send out the ball, get that slip screen going. And I'm not sure why the O-linemen are so dumb, but usually they block him. Trust me when I tell you this works. I know a lot of you guys know that the screen works, so me showing in the practice mode doesn't really do anything. But yeah, the screen's very good. Usually it will get a lot more yards. I'm not sure how the CPU is so good at defending it, but Jeremy Chin is really fast, and he is manned up on the running back, so that's probably the reason why. But again, mixing the screen, I like to run it in the red zone. You could always run it whenever or wherever you are on the field. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for the video. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like, hit that subscribe button for more. I'm planning on dropping a lot of ebooks in the future. I got a lot of playbooks that I like. Raiders, I might drop a full ebook on Raiders, Patriots, things like that. So stay tuned for those. Let me know in the comments any other videos you would like to see, defensive videos as well. And yeah, peace. I'm out of here.